We're getting in breaking inputs of Captain Amarinder Singh, who's currently at Union Home Minister Amit Shah's residence. Captain reaches Home Minister's house. Remember, he's been in the national capital yesterday and today as well. And this is what our sources are telling us. Captain Amarinder Singh, when he was specifically asked as far as joining other parties is concerned, he had never categorically denied as far as joining the BJP is concerned. But usually a meeting with Amit Shah usually means, if we go by precedence, if we look at Jyotiraditya Scindia's example here as well, that does mean a final call on whether or not a person is joining the BJP. Let's in fact get in more views. We are connected. Senior journalist Javed Ansari connected with us here on this. Thank you for being with us, sir. In your opinion, what does this effectively mean? Is it evident now that Captain Amarinder Singh would be joining the BJP? Usually a meeting with Mr. Amit Shah does mostly, or what we've seen in the past, does indicate that.
Well, it is most likely, it appears most likely. Even if he does not join the BJP, it's the Congress and Captain Amarinder Singh, their association seems numbered. It's a parting of ways appears inevitable. Now, whether Captain Amarinder Singh joins the BJP or he floats an outfit of his own which aligns with the BJP are some of the options that are being considered and talked about on both sides. But it is almost inevitable now that Captain Amarinder Singh's association with the Congress party is nearing an end for the moment.
Mr. Javed Ansari, with respect to how Captain Amarinder Singh is going to be dealing with questions that would be asked as far as association with the BJP, whether or not joining entirely or just an association, questions would be asked with respect to his stand all along that he's taken regarding decisions of the central government ruled by the BJP, and more specifically of immediate concern to the state of Punjab would be the 3 farm laws.
Look, politicians are very adept. They take positions, adopt positions depending on where they stand. He will, in all probability, say that it's a question of national security, that Mr. Sidhu has links with Pakistan and he cannot and will not ever cannot countenance something like this ever happening. So he will do everything he possibly can and ally with any and everybody to ensure that eventuality does not come to pass. He's already said so in as many words earlier in the week, and now look, what are the options available? Either Aam Aadmi Party, he can't join the Akalis given that he's been totally at loggerheads. The BJP also doesn't have an ally in Punjab, and they'll be getting somebody of the stature of Captain Amarinder Singh will, give them a huge leg up in the state where they have a very nominal presence. So this kind of coming together would suit both sides.
Okay. Yes, please hold that thought. This kind of coming together would suit both sides. Of course, there's still an official confirmation to this here, but largely this is what it is indicative of. It is point of no return for Captain Amarinder Singh to the Congress if he's gone up ahead and had this meeting with the Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah. We connected with Ms. Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist as well. Many thanks, Neerja. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for being with us here. In your reading of the situation here, what does this spell out now?
Look, Captain Amarinder Singh calling on the Home Minister, we need to know more to come to any conclusion. He can be going there to say, please repeal the farm laws. He can be talking about other things. Because, having been the chief minister of the Congress party for so many years, to overnight do a flip-flop and join the BJP at his age, given his stature, or even the BJP, which has been an opponent of the Congress, and easier for the BJP to accept him. But I think even the BJP may want to give a cooling off period. So I think this may be a preliminary coming together, and they may calculate if the House in Punjab Assembly is hung and horribly hung next year. They may be quick, the government may not last for long. There may be elections very shortly. Again, thereafter, then they may look at some kind of a coming together. I'd be very surprised if they were to do it now, because the BJP does not have, that kind of a hold at that moment, and how much traction the captain will bring to make them both winners, I don't know. I think they will want to wait a while, but captain is obviously making the Congress leadership fret by going there. He wants to pay them back in their own coin. So, but a coming together, I would think, may take a little longer, if at all.
Okay, that's an interesting point of view there coming in. Mr. Javed Ansari, would you like to take that into account instead of thinking that this is a point of no return for Captain back to the Congress here? This could be a meeting concerning anything else. Okay, we seem to have lost that line here. But Neerja Chaudhary, coming back to the point that you raised here, that it is incorrect to jump the gun right now and say that this does categorically mean that the captain is trying to sign up on something or perhaps work around things politically with the BJP. And in your understanding, what else could this meeting currently be? Before, of course, we get in an official confirmation here, but we're, of course, still taking into account these developments with respect to precedents that has been set on what a meeting effectively means with Mr. Amit Shah. Anyone coming in from any other party meeting with Amit Shah means that it's a final step of joining the BJP, but we still need to wait on that. This could be a meeting concerning anything else, as you stated.
Yeah, look, one thing is clear. The captain has been badly humiliated. The captain does not only blame Navjot Singh Sidhu for it. He knows that the Gandhi siblings, the high command of the Congress, was behind it also, to give Sidhu that kind of a position and a free hand to act the way he did. So he's not going to forget it easily, but he will wait to see, he'll bide his time to see when best he can strike. He will not go headlong that I'm humiliated and I go straight into the BJP's arm. I think he's too sophisticated a player to play that kind of politics. I think he will wait for his moment. He will choose his issue. And meeting Amit Shah is a signal, of course, that I can do anything, but that doesn't mean he's going to go into the arms of the BJP right away.
Ms. Neerja Chaudhary, stay on with us here. Hold that thought, please. We're going to be getting in more voices of a larger insight here on this here. In fact, we also have our managing editor, Vinay Tiwari, connected with us here on this. Vinay, it would be, of course, incorrect to speculate, but largely, what is the sense that you're getting on this meeting?
Yes, and I think you asked the right question. I mean, there is there's a speculation and a theory in every lane in Delhi currently, and what's really happening in Bhai Amarinder meeting home Amit Shah. And I can tell you that very few people actually know why. But I can tell you that conventionally speaking, and from a pure observational position of politics, I think to assume that this meeting necessarily means that Amarinder Singh is joining the BJP is a little far-fetched. I mean, I don't think it makes sense either for the BJP or for the Amarinder to be actually in the same party. There are two possibilities. One, that it is all a game of optics. Remember, politics is half played as optics. Obviously, this would be making the Congress extremely nervous. And Mr. Amarinder Singh is enjoying this part of making his old party very, very nervous. And the second possibility, which some people are also speculating, is that Mr. Amarinder Singh is testing the waters on actually floating his own party in Punjab and looking for a possible tie-up with the BJP, because that allows him to have the political weightage or clout in the state in case his party ends up in at least some position of prominence in the state. So there are possibilities, of course. But as you rightly asked and said, all of it is speculation. I don't think anyone has a real clear answer on why Mr. Amarinder Singh has chosen to make this visit, and a very high-profile one. Because remember, he's chosen the evening time. He knows prime time. Everyone understands television. This is now going to be the big story for the rest of the night.
Yes, and Vinay, it's also inching closer to that deadline that the Congress has issued to Navjot Singh Sidhu on deciding on his resignation. While they're preparing for Plan B, Captain Amarinder Singh wanting to show here that there's his own Plan B at hand that he has here for the state of Punjab.
That's right. But even in that information that has come out from different Congress sources, I'm not too sure if the Congress is going to follow that particular deadline so strictly and so rigidly. I mean, I really don't. I mean, the party has been pushed into a corner in a situation where they have very little maneuvering space left. I mean, they really cannot afford to have a situation where they end up upsetting all three sides. Remember, now there are three sides to this whole problem, and that whole entire triangle will become a problem. You already removed Amarinder Singh, humiliated him in public. Now you have an upset Mr. Nasruddin Singh Sidhu. And if you actually undo some of the things that Mr. Channi has done, which has upset Mr. Sidhu, you run the risk of actually upsetting him as well. Apart from, of course, having carefully built that narrative of Mr. Channi being a backward community leader, and that's the reason why the Congress chose him to lead the party in the state of Punjab. So they are boxed in a corner. And I'm not too sure if the first badly thought out, method in which they've done the Punjab overhaul will now get followed by a very hasty decision of being egoistic enough to say, okay, you didn't comply by 9 p.m. and hence I'm going to appoint somebody else as the Punjab chief. I mean, if they do that, then I think you can be almost certain that the Congress is imploded and there is frankly very little hope of them to do anything to do with coming close to power in that state.
Yes, please stay on with us. Correspondent Gurpreet is also getting us further inputs here on this. Let's in fact take a listen in.
Where he had discussed about the rate of sugar cane. So at that time we have seen that a lot of farmers, they were happy with the decision, and there was a criticism from Manolal Khattar from the Haryana government also by saying that all these netas are hand in glove, Kisan netas are hand in glove with Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh. Now if we can look at the political equation at this point of time, it will totally change the situation of BJP in Punjab, because what we are picking up from the sources also, Captain Amarinder Singh is totally in touch with the Kisan netas who are spearheading this campaign from Punjab. He has already discussed at length to find out what are alternative, and they just want at this point of time, we have seen for the last so many months, they are sitting on at the border. They just want at this point of time, there should be guarantee for MSP. And what we are picking up from the sources also, somewhere down the lane, BJP is also trying to negotiate with them. They are also
Gurpreet, our correspondent there, explaining on how this would become a win-win situation for the BJP to improve their chances in the state of Punjab, to have the weight and seniority and standing of Captain Amarinder Singh to be on board. Remember, this is of course all along the realms of speculation here. We still need to get in a final word of what this meeting is really about. But one is usually going by past observations and precedents that has been set any given time. If there is a member of another party that meets with the Union Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, it does effectively mean that we're perhaps just minutes or hours away from a confirmation of that person jumping ship and joining the BJP. So we still need to wait for that confirmation here. This could be a meeting pertaining to other issues, but nevertheless, it is a meeting that would make the Congress uncomfortable, and the captain there saying, maintaining all along that he has been insulted here. Remember, he of course was in the national capital yesterday as well. He said this is only a personal visit. He's clearing up the house for the current chief minister. But the following day, or what we're looking at today is that meeting that he's had with the Union Home Minister. With that, we're slipping into a very tiny break. Stay on with us here, please. We're back in just a bit. So many other multiple developments to happen here on this. It's still not over. Be right back.